Hi, I'm Divya.
I'm Ajit.
And I'm Arihant.
We are the co-founders of Seekho. But what is Seekho?
So Seekho is a neo-career school that guides aspiring professionals like you to achieve their career goals.
Seekho supercharges your career with the right blend of learning, networking, and kick-ass jobs.
And tell us, what are the 3 things that you get with Seekho?
Well, firstly, you get industry gurus who teach and mentor you.
A professional community that increases your net worth.
And most of all, opportunities that will keep progressing you in your career.
Download the app now.
Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody ground with ground with ground. Oh yeah! Everybody in the front. 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 Everybody round.
CEO and founder, Tata 1MG, charismatic, energetic, creative. Rubal Jain is one of the most promising entrepreneurs of India, who has contributed immensely over the years of his professional career towards serving the Indian supply chain and logistics industry. An alumnus of Columbia University, New York, and Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, he is currently the managing director of SafeXpress Private Limited. Along with SafeXpress Private Limited, Rubal Jain is also a director of Safe Educate and Trans Solutions Private Limited for almost a decade. He is also an advisory board member in Columbia University Global Centers, Mumbai. His visionary leadership is manifested through SafeXpress's burgeoning presence in 622 cities and its accelerating sales growth rate. He is also an active member of Entrepreneurs Organization and currently serves on the board of EO New Delhi chapter. Rubal Jain, a man of true substance.
Hi, I'm Divya.
I'm Ajit.
And I'm Arihant.
We are the co-founders of Seekho. But what is Seekho?
So Seekho is a neo-career school that guides aspiring professionals like you to achieve their career goals.
Seekho supercharges your career with the right blend of learning, networking, and kick-ass jobs.
And tell us, what are the 3 things that you get with Seekho?
Well, firstly, you get industry gurus who teach and mentor you.
A professional community that increases your net worth.
And most of all, opportunities that will keep progressing you in your career.
Download the app now.
Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody feel it, come around with ground with ground. Everybody ground with ground with ground. Oh yeah! Everybody in the front. Everybody in the front.
Charismatic, energetic, creative, Rubal Jain is one of the most promising entrepreneurs of India who has contributed immensely over the years of his professional career towards serving the Indian supply chain and logistics industry. An alumnus of Columbia University, New York, and Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, he is currently the managing director of SeekhoX Private Limited. Along with SeekhoX Private Limited, Rubal Jain is also a director of Safe Educate and Trans Solutions Private Limited for almost a decade. He is also an advisory board member in Columbia University Global Centers, Mumbai. His visionary leadership is manifested through SeekhoX's burgeoning presence in 622 cities and its accelerating sales growth rate. He is also an active member of Entrepreneurs Organization and currently serves on the board of EO New Delhi chapter. Rubal Jain, a man of true substance.
Hi, I'm Divya.
I'm Ajit.
And I'm Arihant.
We are the co-founders of Seekho. But what is Seekho?
So Seekho is a neo-career school that guides aspiring professionals like you to achieve their career goals.
Seekho supercharges your career with the right blend of learning, networking, and kick-ass jobs.
And tell us, what are the 3 things that you get with Seekho?
Well, firstly, you get industry gurus who teach and mentor you.
A professional community that increases your net worth.
And most of all, opportunities that will keep progressing you in your career.
Download the app now.
Everybody feel it, come around with round with round. Everybody feel it, come around with round with round. Everybody feel it, come around with round with round. Everybody feel it, come around with round with round. Everybody round with round with round. Everybody in the front. 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 Everybody round.
Charismatic, energetic, creative, Rubal Jain is one of the most promising entrepreneurs of India who has contributed immensely over the years of his professional career towards serving the Indian supply chain and logistics industry. An alumnus of Columbia University, New York, and Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, he is currently the managing director of SeekhoX Private Limited. Along with SeekhoX Private Limited, Rubal Jain is also a director of Safe Educate and Trans Solutions Private Limited for almost a decade. He is also an advisory board member in Columbia University Global Centers, Mumbai. His visionary leadership is manifested through SeekhoX's burgeoning presence in 622 cities and its accelerating sales growth rate. He is also an active member of Entrepreneurs Organization and currently serves on the board of EO New Delhi chapter. Rubal Jain, a man of true substance.
Jain.
Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you India's first fun learning show with your favorite CEOs, influencers, and thought leaders. The SeekhoX.
A very, very, very warm welcome. I am Divya. I am the co-founder of Seekho. And SeekhoX is this amazing place that we've created that we are calling thought leaders, incredible entrepreneurs and creators, amazing founders to actually talk about their journey, their lives, their ups, their downs. We've collected the questions that you wanted to ask them. We've asked these questions to these entrepreneurs, and we are ensuring that they are answering these unfiltered, unprepared. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to introduce my speaker. I will say that again. I would love to introduce my speaker today. My incredibly special speaker is Economic Times 40 Under 40. He is an entrepreneur. He is an engineer, an MBA. He is handling and growing one of the largest logistic companies of our country, while ensuring that everything in your house reaches you in time. He actually understands the grassroots of India, and we can't wait to learn how he runs India on time. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we welcome the one, the only Rubal Jain. Woohoo!
Hello. Hey guys. Well, thank you for having me.
Rubal, thank you. Thank you for finally agreeing to do this. Not that he had much of a choice.
Yeah, I had very little choice and very little say in this.
Thank you so much for being here. SeekhoX is a platform that we've created where Seekho learners who are connected with us virtually across the country have joined us to actually be a part of this show. We've got a list of questions that they've asked us that we want to be asking you over the next 1 hour. We'll have some of them interact with you. We might even have a little bit of fun. Just kidding. Not. So guys, without any further ado, Rubal, thank you so much for being here and agreeing to do this. And let's move on to the first segment, which is called the Seekho Spotlight. It is about you, your learnings, and how you would like to share it with our audience. I will start it off with a thought. It's a question I ask all my speakers. I will ask you the same, and then the next 7 minutes are yours to answer it.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I shall try to be.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
How's the
feeling
Josh?
excited. It is fun. I think what you guys are doing is insane. So yeah, looking forward to being bombarded with questions from the different generation.
Woohoo! So, my question for you is, as a leader of one of India's largest supply chain companies, you have been a source of incredible inspiration for our Gen Z, who have maybe experienced the most ups and downs than any generation before them. Now imagine you had to talk to a 20-year-old Rubal who has possibly gone through two of his worst years. He may be doing his college sitting on a laptop. It's been hard, and now he's looking forward to live the rest of his life. What is your advice? What are the 3 lessons that you would share with him to look forward to and to venture out for his next 20 years?
All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Let's get this started.
Thank you so much for having me over at SeekhoX. Very interesting question you guys have left me with. What would I tell a 20-year-old Rubal? I think the funny part here is whatever I would say was probably told to a 20-year-old Rubal at some point of time, which he quickly discarded, quickly let it go, thinking that's not how the world works anymore. It's a new world out there. We really, this old school thinking shouldn't really be the way to go ahead. But the suit wearing Rubal when he's 40 has started to think about these things again. So it is interesting. It is not what you'd expect from this day and age, but I think these are a few points that are probably very important to me now, as a businessman, as a person, as someone who has been involved in running a company for some time, as someone who has hopefully so far managed to do a decent enough job through the COVID times. So yeah, it's as I said, for a 20-year-old, it may sound very anachronistic, very weird, and it did sound that to me 20 years ago. But today, I think these are the most relevant points for me. The first one being that patience is actually a very, very good virtue. Uh, and by patience, I mean patience when it comes to building your career, patience when it comes to building your company. You really have to, I feel, think long term. Don't think of, I'm going to be the next unicorn tomorrow, right? I mean, there are folks who do that, but then you do get one out of many, many, many companies who get there. Think about building yourselves up. Think about taking the time. Technically, in our lives, 10 years is nothing. In the long run, as you build your career, you start at 20, you're probably going to work till 60 or 70. 10 years is a very small period. Yes, we want to achieve as much as we can early on, but that also means that you have to plan your life ahead. And if you're thinking about building a company, if you think about, hey, I'm going to lead a 10-year journey right now to get to a certain point, not only does that make sure that what you're trying to do is correct for the time, rather than let's just get quick solutions. You're trying to put in more long-term, more sustainable solutions in place which will last. But very simply, you will also think about the fact that your company will exist in 10 years from now, and then the 10 years later. And a lot of cases we've seen around, whether it's to do with company, whether it's to do with personal careers as well. A rush to achieve certain things has caused damage along the way. There are a host of companies, there are a host of ideas that were there that didn't make it past the 10-year line. And I would strongly recommend patience, thinking long term, planning long term for yourselves, for your families, for your companies, for your careers, because you're in it for the long haul. As you come out of college, as you just enter the workforce, you're in it for the long haul. This world is going to keep going and going, and you're going to have to spend the next 50 years building a career. And you shouldn't think about, hey, I'm going to achieve everything in the next 3 years. It's great if you could, but the reality of things is that one of you will, not all of you will. So think long term, plan long term, and really think about where you want to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. And don't think about it like an interview question. Don't think about it that I'm sitting and doing an interview and somebody said, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Really think about it for yourself, because, you've got a long way ahead of you. The second one, which I would say, and it's actually very relevant to India, it also is now very relevant because of the times we're living in, is that the situations around you, the laws around you, the environment around you will change, and it will change dramatically, right? COVID happened, a lot of things just happened around it. GST came and the laws of India completely changed. The way it works, every location, locality, state, region has their own thinking, and things are constantly changing, right? You had cash, there's demonetization. Now you can all get flustered. You can all obsess about the fact that what is going on? Why is this happening to us? ये क्या rule है? ये क्या law है? ये क्या हो रहा है दुनिया में? ये क्या COVID आ रहा है? Or you can just be like, look, this is going to happen, right? And every point that it happens, you need to figure out how to think rationally, stay calm, really spend time on solving the problems that are actually in your hands, right? You can't solve the COVID problem. I hope one of you do, but I highly doubt a lot of us can actually solve the COVID problem. We can't just take a call on the new taxation law that may come in, or new e-commerce rules that get implemented. You can't take a call on some other company coming up and launching a competing product, right, at a very different scale. You can't do those things. But what you can do is you can think about where can you make the difference? Where can you solve a problem? What impact can you have? And then work on that, right? A lot of us, a lot of time is spent on just getting scared about what's happening around us. And as I said, obsessing about why is everything going the way it is without, and if it's not in your control, it's not in your control. So you should really think about how to stay calm through these kind of situations, think rationally, and figure it out. Uh, Everything in the world has a solution that you actually can implement, but I'm not entirely sure if you can solve the world's problems, but I'm sure you can definitely solve your own. So that's the second one. The third one, and this is an interesting one, is, and I've become, as I said, I think 20 years ago versus today, I've become a big believer in this, is you've got to take your people with you. The long-term growth of an organization happens with a long-term family, right? And I'm talking about here a professional family that you have. You've got to figure out a way to work together with people for the very long term. See, what ends up happening a lot of times is that, you know, we believe that, hey, this person is not doing this good enough, okay, bye, right? And we're not happy with this kind of a business, we're not happy with this kind of his results, see you, right? I genuinely feel that's not how the world should work. If the person isn't able to contribute to the organization the way you want him or her to do so, find a way that they can. Find a way that they can still be your family. Find a way where they can contribute. Maybe they're not good with doing something, but maybe they're very good at doing something else. But if you spend time with them, if you help them grow with you, if they are with you in the long term, you get a lot of value, right? The value of their experience, even for a very tiny little thing that you may not have understood that well, or it may not be that relevant in your organization. But even that one aspect of life, if they're taking care of it and it gets repetitive and they're able to take care of it, it makes a lot of difference. I genuinely feel people are good. They want to be with you only insofar as you want them to be with you. And if you spend time with your people, if you spend time in charting a path of growth where they are with you, rather than you're taking a path of growth and whoever is with you can be with you. If they drop off, too bad, I'm moving on. That's not the kind of path I have enjoyed taking. I love the fact that my team is my team. I love the fact that they've been with us for a very long time. So a lot of them have been actually in the company since before I joined. And a lot of them have come in and been with me now all this while. And the kind of value you get, the kind of relationships you make, the kind of sounding board that these guys can become, because they're not so worried about saying the right thing as much as they are talking about showing you the right picture, or actually trying and solving problems or bringing to light what is happening in the world, because they're not worried about their relationship with you. I think it makes a big difference. It is like a family. You know, your professional family and your home family are pretty much the same. You don't generally have a situation where your brother gave you a birthday present you didn't like and you're like, all right, bye, you're out of the family. That doesn't work. You try and figure it out. You try and find out what needs to be done so you get a better birthday present the next year. It's the same thing. They are your family, and I would strongly abide by this philosophy, and I still do, that everybody is good. The fact that we haven't probably gotten the most out of that potential probably has to do with us as well. That maybe we haven't worked back with them, maybe we haven't found the right role, maybe we haven't understood them properly. But as you do, it really changes the way you and your company and your family grows. So yeah, those are my 3 learnings at 21, which were given to me, but I kind of let it go and then gained it all back and agreed with them over the last few years. And I know they do kind of sound not in line with how the world seems to be today, but trust me, by the time you get to 40, by the time your hair starts going a little bit white, these things will start becoming important. So, thank you.
Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, Rubal Jain. Are you sure you don't have a side hustle of being a speaker?
I am a speaker. The only thing is I talk only to my team, and I'm always giving gyan to them and just sitting around and telling people what needs to be done. So it's just that I am not your coach kind of a speaker, and I don't do these kind of shows. But hey, I'm always talking.
Thank you so much for the gyan. Thank you so much for agreeing to be our coach for today. And for my next segment, which is a fireside chat, I am going to call internationally renowned stand-up comedian, a published author, and an executive coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Papa CJ.
Hey, how's it going, man? Good to have you.
All good. Thank you so much.
CJ.
Yeah.
Hi. That is Rubal. That is Papa CJ. And go for it, guys.
Awesome.
Show us
Let's
what
do
you
it.
got.
Let's
Thank
do
you.
it.
Awesome.
All right, Rubal. So, I listened to your monologue, and one of the things you said is that you can't control what comes your way, and you have to be prepared for the uncertainties. My first question is going to be exactly that. It's the most obvious question that comes to mind. Why the name Rubal? Like, why? Like, why not dollar or one or?
As I said, this is not something I could control. Clearly, I had no part in the decision making here,
Okay.
and the parents chose that name, and I'm good to go with it.
Excellent. I mean, I think Rubal is still better than one, because then people wouldn't know whether you're Chinese or Mexican. But
Yeah, true.
fair play. Let's go.
Well,
So,
if you look at me, it'll probably be Mexican. That's what they'll go with.
you got the dance moves.
No.
All right. So here's my first question for you, Rubal. You come from a family business background. Why decide to go to Stanford and do an MBA when you could have joined the family business straight away?
Why not? Would be my first question. Back to you. And I do know this when I was joining the business, or when I was going to go abroad actually to study. I think every single person in who knew my dad called up and said, "क्यों भेज रहे हो? घर आके तो चलाना ही तो है कंपनी, भेज रहे हो, वापस ही नहीं आया तो इसको क्यों पढ़ाने की जरूरत है?" And that was the kind of thing that came about, and you kind of expect that as well. In my family, thankfully, this has come down, and I strongly believe by it, that a good education is respected all over the world, and a good education is useful universally, right? Why not? Why not study? Why not be better prepared to face the world? Why not be better prepared to take or make an impact in the organization and take it ahead, right? If I did not really go out and get myself a different education, my education at home, which is basically what I've learned seeing my dad, would have obviously sufficed as well, no doubt. But then I don't think I needed to be there because dad is already doing the same thing.
Okay.
So I needed to come back in with some sort of a different mindset, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
what value am I adding
Yeah.
in the organization? So education for me is very important, I think, and it always was. But thankfully, it was the same with the parents, and that's why I went abroad and did my engineering and MBA.
Okay, so my second question is a flip to the first one. Having done the MBA from Stanford, why come back to the family business? You could have stayed on in Silicon Valley, worked in various companies. Why the decision to actually come back and join the family business?
Again, the same question goes back. Why not? So this is the situation I was in, right? The family business had just started. It was building up. We were still a young company when I had gone to study, and I think the base was being set. Now I could have gone off to some other company and started from scratch and built my career up,
Yeah.
and probably ended up working for someone
Yeah.
for a while, and maybe the entrepreneur gene in me would have kicked off and I would have started something on my own. The more I think about it, I do realize very clearly that I am not your guy to take a company from 0 to 10 or 0 to 50 or whatever it might be. But the way my mind works is all about taking it from 10 to 1,000, right? And if I already had the 10 that was set up for me in India, why would I not want to come in and do that?
Yeah.
Having said that, Safe Express was my sibling when I was growing up. I think every conversation that was around the dining table was regarding this industry, what is being built, the enjoyment I saw in Dad's face while he was, building this up. And I don't think I ever really thought of doing anything else.
I think one of the things you mentioned is that you were not the guy for taking something from 0 to 10, but from 10 to 1,000. What I found fabulous about that statement, especially for our learners at Seekho, is the fact that you had a clear understanding of where your capabilities lied and also where your interests lied.
Yeah.
And you were able to capitalize on your strength as well.
So at some point, I think the interests for sure lay in the 10 to 1,000 journey more than the 0 to 10.
Yeah.
I think the capabilities got evolved because of the interest.
Now, I know you're also being quite modest when you say that. When you joined the business, what was the turnover and what is the turnover now?
Well, we're still a private company, but some of this data is public. I joined when we were doing about 250 crores of annual turnover.
Yeah.
At this point, we're at 2,500.
Wow.
So about 10x
Wow.
to where we are.
Fabulous. Now, here's the thing. Safe Express is one of the most trusted logistics brands in the country, and you are in every single pin code of India.
Yep.
My question to you is this: over this journey from 250 crores to the 2,500 crores, what have been some of your key milestones, and more importantly, what are the learnings that you can share with our learners at Seekho about your growth journey?
So there have been many small milestones, many things that have gone right during this entire journey. But I think the biggest milestone for us, for me personally, has been the alignment I have managed to have with my dad, because he's come from a different background, he has a different mindset, but our alignment towards where we want to go, and then over time how we want to get there. I think that was the biggest turning point for us as a company, as us as a family as well, being aligned on that, and then being able to take that alignment down to the team as well, right? And getting them to rally along with to take us there. But little things, from a complete overhaul of the tech solution to coming up with the first cross-dock warehouse in India, to focusing on how we build up our training facility, to even this new corporate office that we're in.
Yeah.
I think these are all little milestones that kind of signify the journey and the successes of it.
Yeah.
But it's really the alignment that I would say is the biggest thing.
So for a 21-year-old or a 25-year-old who is possibly looking to join the family business, what would be your key tips to take his or her business from 10 to 1,000, as you say?
So here's the thing. When you come in fresh, you're going to come in and not like the way things are being done. That's just how we are. We're more aligned with tech, we're more innovative, we're more cutting edge. We don't like certain ways of thinking of the previous generation, and I think every generation will have that.
Yeah.
At some point, when your next generation comes in, you'll be the dinosaur, and that is bound to happen.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that it is a very delicate balance that you'll have to figure out how to make with the family members who are involved, or whoever the leaders are in your company that are involved.
Yeah.
That one, you cannot discount experience, right? There is a lot that has gone into building this company up, and you don't know where that experience might come to play, but you cannot discount experience. But at the same time, you also cannot back off from bringing innovative changes to the organization, because at some point, it will be left upon you to run the company.
Yeah.
And you don't want to run a company that you're not capable of running. So if you're not okay with the way certain things work, or if you don't have the capability to manage certain people or certain processes in the way that they're done, you will have to build up to it that it's done my way as well.
What is that point at which you can start throwing a bit of that weight around? Because I'm guessing when you come in the first time, the sensible thing to do would be to learn and to observe and see how things are done, and more importantly, build your own credibility as an individual as opposed to your father's son. So what are some of the things you did to build credibility as an individual, and how can some of our young learners who are either joining family businesses or joining large organizations build their own individual credibility?
So, I think you should come in and take up a project that has some level of impact on the organization, but with the blessings of the previous generation. So in my case, it was a fairly easy one. I led the tech overhaul of the organization. We were on a very, very old school, can't even think about how those computers work kind of tech, to the latest cutting edge on cloud technology that we have. And I kind of got in and said, look, let's redo this, and I will redo this. And are you okay with me redoing this? They're like, yes, somebody needs to do it. Why don't you do it? Because you understand this stuff a little bit more. Go ahead and do it. It took time because, for example, tech is just not tech, right? It involves changing of processes, involves impacting your operations and your sales and the way people work. So you needed help from everyone to be aligned, but at least it gave me the opportunity to deliver a successful product at the end and quickly gain that respect that, hey, look, this guy came in, did something that our company was probably lacking in, and got that rolled out. Having said that, one of the issues is that memories are short, right? So just because you had one big successful project rolled out doesn't mean the next one will have more support or equal enthusiasm, and you'll probably have to go back down and just do that again. The only thing that can happen is you may get the blessings of all the seniors and the old hands at work a little bit sooner.
Okay, so the two takeaways I've got from what you've said is, firstly, come back, work on a project that A, has a large impact on the organization, and B, is an area of strength for you. I'm guessing tech was an area of strength for you relative to the others in your organization.
No, not really. I'm not a techie at all.
Okay.
I would say it was an area of weakness for the organization.
Okay.
And I made it an area of strength for myself.
Okay.
I mean, if the organization is generally weak in one part and you're generally an okay, smart guy, I think you can make it your strength. That was the plan.
So that's a really good learning as well, which is identify areas of improvement in the organization and see if you can make a contribution there to help gain credibility.
Yeah, but having said that, as I said, I think any smart person, when you walk into a company, whether it's a consultant, whether it's anyone else, whether it's a coach, and you probably know this as well, when you meet someone, you can always write down 2,000 things that are wrong.
Yeah.
Right? When you start doing that, you're only going to create animosity and friction.
Yeah.
So you will have to figure out what the company wants solved. You can't walk in and say, "Ye kharab hai, main ye theek kar raha hu." But you literally want somebody crying out and saying, "Sir, ye kharab hai, kya kare?" And then you take that up. So because it's the challenge for the company, and it has been for the time that you weren't there, it was easier for me to step in and be like, "Aap log se nahi hua, ab main karke dikhata hu."
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I think can help.
Yeah. In fact, it's interesting you spoke about coaching. There's a difference between sort of coaching and mentoring, because as a mentor, you tell somebody this is what the answer is, or this is what my expertise says. But as a coach, you're trying to encourage them to think for themselves and come up with the answers themselves.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, each time there's a problem, they'll just come to you and say, "Sir, kya kare?"
Yeah.
Super. Now, here's a question for you. At Seekho, we are quite often asked, what is the value of an MBA? Now, you did your MBA at Stanford, which is one of the most renowned business schools in the world, before joining Safe Express. How has your education transformed your mindset and the way you approach work?
So, when I went in to do my MBA, I was having a chat with my dad at that point about, what's going on in the company. I'm going to be coming back in a couple of years. How are we doing? And we were, close to about 200 odd crores back then before I joined. And before I went in to do the MBA, I think nobody in our family, in our generation, or even in our industry had ever reached 1,000 crores in turnover from a logistics company perspective back then. So that was that one big achievement, aim in life कि यार 1,000 crore की कंपनी बना के बस हो गया, सारी जिंदगी वहां तक पहुंचना है, and रिटायर हो जाएंगे, तब उसके बाद क्या करना है लाइफ. When I came out of Stanford, those 2 years had I didn't really come out of any bookish education कि accounting कैसे करते हैं, strategy कैसे बनाते हैं, वो सब classes होती हैं. But you kind of read the cases, you interact with folks, you interact with other classmates, and the mind opened up. And I came back saying, यार 10,000 की नहीं बनाई तो शुरू नहीं हुआ करियर, और मैं 10,000 बना के करियर शुरू करना है, right? And it's not about a value. It's probably about the kind of growth that you need to take, right? Or what will drive you going forward. And the moment I came back with that mindset, everything changed, because I quickly realized, and at some point, I guess when me and Dad also aligned on the future of the company, he also quickly realized that the way we did things aren't the way we can do them ahead to reach that level. Things will need to change. Processes will need to change. The team needs to be designed in a different way. Folks will need to have different responsibilities, accountabilities. Tech will need to change. Everything changes. Right? And that is the single biggest impact I had when I did my MBA, that the world's scale changed for me.
Fabulous. So
right? And I came from a millions to a billions kind of a mindset when I walked back in.
Just the vision. There's a wonderful quote by Nelson Mandela, and it talks about something very similar. He says, one only finds after climbing a great hill that there are many other great hills to climb. So it's exactly that. A large part of our community at Seekho is interested in the supply chain management space. What are some of the key skills in your domain, and how can one go about acquiring them?
Frankly speaking, there are no key skills, right? You've got to be ready to take the problem and solve it. The only difference when it comes down to supply chain management, and especially the kind of things that we do, which is move package from one point to the other, is a lot of the challenges are actually on the ground level. They're actually physical challenges. ट्रक जा रहा था, ब्रिज के ऊपर से ब्रिज टूट गया, अब क्या करोगे? या ब्रिज टूट गया, now there is no way to reach the other side. How do you satisfy your customer? How does material reach the factory on time during a curfew or a lockdown? How do you operate when a particular section or a region goes under no cell phone, no data can be moved, right? You're dealing with physical issues. You're not dealing with so much of a pure tech, pure online kind of an environment. But the thing is the same. There is a bug in the system. You're trying to solve for that bug.
So is it thinking on your feet? Is it a value system that guides you? Because
so
a lot
it's a mix of both, right? I think.
So the truck पानी में गिर गया, bridge टूट गया. What would you do there?
The first time it happened, I don't know. I might have freaked out and be like, ये क्या हो रहा है? ये इंडिया है. यहाँ ये पहली बार नहीं होता है, ये होते रहता है. But by the time it's happened the third or the fourth time, and I'm not saying वो पानी में गिरता है, but some mishap happens to the truck. The process needs to have been built up by then on how to proceed. Right? Whether how do you reach out to your customers saying this is what's happened? How do you reach out to the family of the truck driver and have a discussion with them in terms of whatever can be done next, if they're safe, if they're not safe? How do you solve for this problem in a very clear-cut process?
So what I'm hearing from you, sorry to cut you off, is that every time something new happens, you're ensuring that not only do you take lessons learned out of it, but you also systemize the way to deal with something like that in that there is a protocol set in place that the next time something like this happens, this is what you do first, this is what you do second.
Yeah, I think given the volatility of India, given just how complex it is and how vast it is, I don't think anything happens once.
Yeah,
I don't think anything is a one-off.
sure.
Kuch na kuch, kahin na kahin, some manifestation of that exact same thing will happen somewhere else.
Yeah,
Right? That's just how this country is. And you might as well make use of the learnings that you get from that first experience and put it to play.
sure.
Right? And then it can be tweaked around based on the exact issue that has happened, but you should have, it can't be ki ji, wo the third time it's happened, ab kya kare ji?
Yeah.
Right? You should have already figured it out by then. Ki ye karna hai, and then we move on.
Okay, so I'm going to play bad cop here. I'm 21 years old. I've just graduated. I have a job offer from Google and Facebook and Netflix, but you really want to hire somebody like me. Make your pitch. Why should I join you? What do you have to offer?
First, your hair needs to be cut for us. But, I think my pitch is very simple. You come work with us, you are going to actually see what the real India is all about. Because we're dealing with the actual crux of India, and I'm not saying Bharat, I'm not saying the deep parts of India. Even Delhi is India, even Mumbai is India, but the ground reality is of how work happens in these different places across India, where, what kind of product sells, what kind of manufacturing is happening, what kind of people are there, what is attracting them, what is motivating them to keep going. This is happening on the ground, right? Why does a particular chappal get sold in a particular state? Why not in the other states? What's going on? What are the dynamics there? It has nothing to do with branding. It has nothing to do with reach, because everything can go somewhere. But there are certain dynamics that are there physically in India. You really get to know this.
Wow.
Right? And you can go much deeper, as deeper as you want in our organization, and really get a crux of how to solve the most complex problems of India, because you would have connected with a very deep part of India. And I think once you do that, it is potentially going to be easier for you to set yourself up in a bigger role in a company that you might want to start that caters to India, whether it's tech, whether it's digital, it doesn't matter.
No,
I think it'll be
just the level of learning that you're describing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now I know that you transport many different things. What is the strangest, weirdest, or most interesting thing that you have ever been asked to transport?
I think in terms of the weird consignments that we've carried, the one example I would give is when the bride's family has gifted a bed to the groom and the bride, and it needs to reach the day or the evening of the wedding. And you can't mess with that. You can't delay it. You can't screw that one up at all.
Also, I'm guessing it needs to be transported on a really stable truck, because when it reaches, it can't be in a creaky condition.
It's, well, you don't know if it's our fault or the newly married couple was just excited. But so I mean, it's funny because your phone could be a day late, or your computer that you ordered could come a couple of days late. It'll probably piss you off, or you won't be happy about it. But the nature of certain consignments and the criticality of them can it may not look on paper, but the reality is it's very different.
Did you get this bed there in time for the Suhagrat?
Of course.
If you're listening out there and you have something that you need transported in time for your Suhagrat, he's the guy. Rubal, you've been an entrepreneur for many years now. What are some of the challenges of being an entrepreneur, and what are some of the challenges specific to being possibly an entrepreneur in India? Because a lot of our learners at Seekho want to be entrepreneurs. What advice could you give them?
So I think the first and foremost role of an entrepreneur is, as we say it in Hindi, खून का घूंट तुमको ही पीना पड़ेगा. You are the last person in the world to bring ego into play. You cannot be the one to say, I am right, so you better do what I'm telling you to do. If he doesn't and he just walks off, you're stuck, right? If two people are having an issue, you're the one who's going to have to say that, okay, I am the one who's going to take the brunt of this, but you guys please move on and do this correct. And I think every successful entrepreneur that you see out there is able to do that to some degree, right? If you start becoming one of those entrepreneurs who and you hear about certain stories, how he dealt with people, this, that, it could be a one-off, but if it starts becoming standard in how they manage things, people don't stick around. If people don't stick around, you're not going to grow, right? So I do feel that as an entrepreneur, your biggest challenge is to really understand how to keep your ego in check, how to accept what's happening around you and find solutions rather than constantly be flustered by it, be angry about it, be all dictatorial about it, or be just generally disrespectful about it. And I think this is the most important thing, because your position, the place that you are, the fact that you're sitting at the top and you're the only one who has a 360-degree view. Nobody else has that, right? Nobody else knows exactly what my action could lead to, but you do. And you're going to have to take that step back. It's a common saying, it is lonely at the top. And you're going to have to learn to live with that.
So there's humility, there is an element of servant leadership, and there is an element of focusing on the solution as opposed to the problem. And as a leader, you're trying to ensure that you can support your team in removing whatever obstacles come in their way towards solving their problem.
Yes.
Super. So Rubal, you've got over 2,500 employees at your organization and 30,000 people who at some level work with Safe Express. When you're looking to hire people, what are the qualities or attributes that you're looking, particularly at sort of the fresher or the more junior levels?
So it's constantly evolving, because I think the fresher is constantly evolving. A graduate from 3 years ago versus now think very differently. But at the end of the day, I think the crux that we are trying to capture is, one, are they interested and excited about solving problems, or are they more interested in having more responsibility a lot more than actually solving problems and getting to that point? And I think there's a fine line there that you can try and understand. And the second one being just generally from a cultural fit perspective, do they fit there? Will they genuinely be with you for a long term, right? We also identify early on whether, and you can get to know this, that whether this person is actually going to go ahead and be your leader, or whether this person is actually going to be with you, but he'll be a good manager.
Okay.
Right? And not everybody can be a leader, not everybody can be a manager, but you need both kinds of folks. So you have to kind of look around for exactly, somebody, hey, I need you to hold the fort. And I need you to go and run with it. And you have to find those folks. But at the end, I think it's about the interest towards solving problems that is how we like to pick up people.
Okay. One last question, and I know you've always been very modest about it, is philanthropy. What is some of the philanthropy that you do, and what is the role that it plays in your life, and any counsel or advice you would offer the Seekho community in the philanthropy space?
So it's actually a range of things that we do, but the couple of things that really drive us are education, as well as any kind of support that we can give during any disaster, right? So one of the big things that we do is, if there is any kind of a disaster, whether it's a landslide, whether it's a flood, whether it is anything that happens, we provide our trucks to move things across the country as many times as we need to. We just need to move stuff. I mean, people are donating, and you always get this that, hey, there are floods in Chennai, can you donate some stuff? But how is it going to reach Chennai? That's what we can donate. And even in the toughest of times, because our drivers, our truck owners, our operators have been with us for so long, they're actually also now willing to step up and be like, we'll do this, don't worry.
Yeah.
right? We'll be there and we will take it to those guys, and you just make sure that we're taken care of. So that's the one side. Education is the other, and education across the board, but largely to do with, uh, I would say, employability.
Yeah.
Because it's good to be educated, but at the end, the real problem that India faces is, can you earn?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying you need to be able to earn more than what you're hoping to earn, but even the challenge of just getting a job in the country
Yeah.
is hard.
Yeah.
And in 100 people, if we can even support one of them to
Yeah.
to be ahead in line,
Yeah.
and get a job, so that their careers, their families can be a little bit better off, they can save a little bit of money and send back home for their parents. That's our push. So we run an organization called Safe Educate, that is training about 45-50,000 kids a year to be able to get a job
Yeah.
across India. We support a huge number of girls' schools in UP and Bihar, where these girls are getting, they're completing their class 12th
Yeah.
and then moving on in life. And just I think education is something that does excite us and push us.
Our philosophies seem to be in sync, because even at Seekho, our objective is exactly this, is to try and skill young people and make them job ready.
Yeah, I know. Why do you think I am most excited to be here today?
Super.
Because at some level we're connected
Fabulous.
with the same philosophy behind
Fabulous.
it.
And do you see a value in the Seekho platform for young people?
Of course, I think what the Seekho platform will do for the young folks is show them many different viewpoints for similar problems and similar questions. We've had some speakers before. You've had some speakers in the previous episodes. You will have some more. Everybody will come in with different thought processes, right? I assume I am the only one in a suit sitting here with that kind of a mindset, with a very different mindset, but it exists, right? Whether it's right or not, I can't say. The validity of that mindset will be judged by the observer. But at some level, the platform gives everybody multiple points of view on similar topics.
Yeah.
Right, and it gives them the opportunity to make a decision and move the way that they feel most comfortable with. And I think we didn't have that option in school, right?
Yeah.
You were taught ye sahi hai, ya ye karna hai, and you kind of just moved in that direction, right?
Yeah.
When was it ever told to us, ki, hey, listen, let's discuss?
Yeah.
I remember even civics class was all about wo preamble padha, constitution padha, aage padhe.
Yeah.
There was never a discussion about
Yeah.
what kind of government system should we have. But
Yeah.
here you're talking about you meeting entrepreneurs and coaches and great leaders. We're all probably going to talk about different things that matter in terms of leadership styles. And at least the person seeing the video has the option to choose rather than be sworn by that one book that he read and that's it. कि यही सही होता है, सब गलत होता है.
Fabulous. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and it has been a pleasure talking to a Stanford MBA, and I'll tell you why. Because I applied to business school at Stanford, but like an idiot, I copy pasted all my essays. So my entire application to Stanford went telling them why I really wanted to go to Harvard. So they didn't even bother to send me a rejection letter.
I think that's a straight up. Let's not even talk to this guy. But yeah.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Thank you so much, man.
Super. That was great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, CJ, for a scintillating discussion. And thank you,
pleasure.
Rubal, for your answers and for being such an ardent supporter of Seekho so far. Ladies and gentlemen, CJ and Rubal.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
We have some members of the Seekho community, and they have joined us today to ask you some questions. And they're extremely excited to meet and interact with you. Should we
All right,
start?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So first up, hi Samaksh.
Hi. I'm really glad that I got this opportunity. It was really great hearing you share your thoughts. So I also come from a family background and I have a family business. But when I talk to them about it, and like you have worked with your father throughout the business, when I get on in with the business with my father, it's always some kind of disagreement because I feel like that they have orthodox thoughts and their working way is very traditional, whereas they feel like that my way is pretty impractical and it doesn't go with the flow of the business, or it hampers the business and the thing that they do have done always. So I would like to really get your view on this, or some thoughts on how to go through with this problem and go on with the business.
If there was one right answer there. So, Samaksh, here's the thing, and think about it from this lens. Uh, I'm assuming your dad has built the business, or he's been building the business for some time, or other family members as well. Imagine how they're feeling when you walk in on day one and be like, "ये सब बेकार है." And हम इस तरह आप कैसे कर रहे हो, ऐसे कौन सी कंपनी चलती है? Now they spend the last 30, 40, 25 years, I don't know how long, but building something and putting all their effort in. And you've pretty much walked in as judge, jury, executioner and saying, Ki, this is it. You're obviously doing everything wrong and I am the king of the world and I know how it works. Now, if you walk in like that, it is jhagada to hoga. And everything that you say will be treated as impractical. Don't worry, I did the same exact thing. There's nothing new what you're going through. I wasn't someone smarter having figured that out before I came in. I came in, and one of the first things that obviously when I started talking or behaving in the same way, I would get a response from my dad being like, "Pehle baal safed karke aao." Right? Being like, gain some experience and then come back and talk to me. But I would say the way to deal with it would be that, look, you can't discount their experience and what they've built, right? They've definitely put in their blood and hard work and sweat in building this organization. What you're going to have to do is respect that, work back with them and say, look, at the end of the day, I am joining this business. आज नहीं, 10 साल में नहीं, शायद 20 साल में तो मुझे चलाना है, right? Now, first, I like you to teach me, give me everything that you can so that I understand what's going on. But because at some point I need to be involved with the running of the company, I will also need to come back to you with the way I'd like things done, right? But you'll have to give them the respect for having built the company their way before you can start changing things your way. I think the only thing this method may do is reduce the time it will take you to move away from fights and reach some sort of a consensus. But fight to hogi, jhagda to hoga. That is the reality. The fight can be about largely two things. Where do we want to take this company to? You may have a different view than he will. And then how do we want to take it there? Right? I think you should really put all your time and energy on solving the where problem. Because once the where is sorted, once everybody knows हमें ये करना है, यार यहाँ future है, 10 साल बाद यहाँ पहुँचना है, 20 साल बाद यहाँ पहुँचना है, then how you get there starts being a little bit less relevant. Because every step that you are also putting in place is in agreement with that where. हमें what size will we become, या what services will we offer, या हम कितने शहरों में होंगे, international जाएंगे या नहीं जाएंगे, whatever your company would be. But and I think just spend time on the where we would like to be in 10 years. How you'd get there, वो बाद में आ जाएगा.
Thank you.
Right? But झगड़ा तो होगा. So deal with it.
So much. Thank you for it.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, we have Astha. Would you like to share your question?
Yeah, so my question is, I haven't seen a lot of women in supply chain. So what would you advise to women or freshers, girls, to take some roles, or what roles should I take for going into supply chain management?
Hey Astha, I actually don't even know where to start on that front. I don't think supply chain management is a gender specific role at all. At the end of the day, ठीक है, you can assume there are challenges or standard set कि truck कौन load करेगा या truck कौन चलाएगा, and that tends to be largely dominated by males. But when it comes down to running a company or being part of the cog, being a cog in the big wheel, whether it's sales, whether it's analytics, whether it is working on data, whether it is figuring out solutions to a problem, I think all you need to do is be smart, right? You could be in finance, you could be in an operations or an industrial engineering concept. You could be doing simulations for the organization. You could be doing sales. And I think it is just, supply chain management, as I said, probably the role of the truck and the loader of the truck is largely male dominant and will probably tend to be given the dynamics of the activity. But everything else is just very open to any woman. I think the only thing is you need to be excited about coming to work and looking at solving problems and being excited about solving the problems.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, go women power. Let's
For
take
sure.
over logistics.
Please do.
Please, go ahead.
Hey, hi. Good evening, first of all. It has been great listening to you. Also, thank you, Seekho, for giving me this opportunity to speak to such mentors. So the question is, as a supply chain management enthusiast myself and someone who has just graduated out of college, will it be better to go into apply to companies like Amazon or Flipkart, where supply chain management is fairly developed but a separate department altogether, or go for companies like Safe Express or Gati, where the core focus of the entire company is actually supply chain management?
I can't say what's better or what's worse. I can only talk a little bit more about what you can gain from here. And I think what you'll gain from here is the opportunity to solve the supply chain problem for India, where everybody has a unique requirement and a unique solution. So, let's say if from an Amazon perspective, at the end of the day, you're solving problems the Amazon way, and you're solving it for a consumer or for a buyer who doesn't really have the choice of being demanding in how the service needs to be, right? Typically, you can't say कि नहीं मेरे घर पे 5:30 बजे के बाद आना, मैं तो तब मिलूंगा. Amazon वाला आता है, चले जाता है अगर आप नहीं हो, बल्कि right in the meeting, or I'm sure while you're at school, class के बीच में वो आ जाता है कि जी OTP दो, तो देना पड़ता है, फिर सब कुछ छोड़ छाड़ के आप कर रहे हो, because it's being solved one way, right? From an Amazon perspective. At a Safe Express, we are basically solving problems that cater to every customer differently, right? I'll give you an example. There are two shops in Lajpat Nagar, a market in Delhi. The first shop guy says, I need all my deliveries done before 11 a.m. because uske baad mere customers aa jate hain. The second shop says, I want everything delivered after 5 p.m. I don't want you coming before. Now, your routing problem can't just say कि यार इधर दो आगे बढ़ो, right? Your routing design has to be created so that ऐसे जाओगे फिर वापस आते हुए इसको दोगे, or the second run is dropping that off. And why is that important? It's important because Safe Express is largely B2B, so you're actually delivering to businesses who have a say with their who are customers to their suppliers. So if it is a TV store, that guy can call up his TV manufacturer and say, don't send through Safe Express, ये time पे deliver नहीं करते हैं. और time की परिभाषा क्या है कि 5 बजे के बाद आओ, right? तो you're trying to solve very different problems not in the same way. Everybody has unique requirements, unique solutions, and you're still having to do that. So it's actually, I feel, a lot more exciting to be dealing with that kind of uncertainty, to be dealing with that kind of a larger gamut of problems and trying to solve those.
Awesome. So join Safe Express. I hope you got your answer. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for interacting with our audience, Rubal. And now to my favorite segment of this show. It is called Seekho Unfiltered.
All right.
I am going to ask Papa CJ to come back on the floor and let's have some fun with Rubal Jain.
Awesome.
Are we ready?
Look forward.
Woo! Papa CJ. Okay, guys, welcome. And as you can see, I am so excited to yet again be on not the hot seat, but asking the questions for Seekho Unfiltered. So what we're going to do is a rapid fire round. Rubal, CJ, we'll be asking some questions. You have no time and you're going to have to give me the answers. The first thought that comes to your mind.
He's an expert, yeah. He always delivers on time, safe express.
Let's see who's delivering what, when, how, where. Okay, my audience at Seekho, you guys are the judge, jury, executioner. My first question, what is your favorite movie, Rubal?
Andaz apna apna.
Center for Women.
What would be your superpower?
Mind reading.
Humor.
It already is, both of you.
Got it, baby.
What sports do you enjoy watching?
Cricket.
Boxing. I love watching boxing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, your biggest screw up in the kitchen.
I think I can cook a little bit to save my life, but I can't cut vegetables at all properly.
Yeah?
I'm sorry, what's a kitchen?
Ordering reservations?
Yeah.
जब नाश्ता नहीं करा तो अभी तक वेट कर रहा है
हाँ, अभी तक भूखा ही बैठा हूँ मैडम.
Okay, Rubal, what's your most annoying habit?
I don't know. Ask my wife, ask my kids, ask my family. मेरी habits मुझे अच्छी लगती हैं. What can I say?
So you're perfect, basically.
I like the way I am. Yeah.
Procrastination. Although if you want a better answer, I'll give it to you tomorrow.
The famous CJ Witt. Love it. Okay, if you were given a 1-minute ad slot during the IPL, what would you fill it with?
Ooh, I would probably fill it with a nice, heartwarming ad about the importance of trucks and truck drivers, because I think the world just hates them. And hey, the food you're eating, the clothes you're wearing are coming through trucks. So it just gives it a positive spin at least.
Wow.
We don't want to be stuck with being associated with accidents and jams and pollution. I think we're running the economy, and I think some story behind that.
On board. Awesome, guys.
Yeah. I would do a 1-minute ad straight after his talking about how these guys cause so much pollution and jams. देखो भैया, मैं स्ट्रगलिंग कॉमेडियन हूँ. हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है ऐड डालने के लिए आईपीएल में. हम खुद आके नाच लेंगे वहाँ पे.
Naked?
नहीं, नेकेड के लिए पैसे देने पड़ेंगे.
Okay, guys, can we have a big hand for CJ and Rubal? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rubal, for being a part of this show. As a very special thank you, we have a special SeekhoX. I'm going to ask my co-founder, Ajit, to come on stage and present you with this. I hope this is a memory for you for your time spent with us. Ajit of Seekho.
Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you so much for being a part of Seekho and another amazing episode. SeekhoX with Rubal Jain.